Yeah, some of the other artists that I worked with are Phoebe Snow. Phoebe was great. You know, Phoebe. The thing with Phoebe is she would get so nervous before her shows that she'd be sitting down on a chair and people would be waving a towel on her to try and stop her from fainting. It's just amazing. You don't realize it.
Wow.
But she's such an amazing singer, and we would just say, Phoebe, they just want to hear you sing, you know. And but then she'd get out there and do a great show.
Oh,
And I also worked with Liza Minelli and Chita Rivera. I did the Broadway show with them, and
wow.
you know, so I've had my share of gigs with some people that I really hold in high esteem. So
Hey,
I guess I've been pretty lucky.
Hey, listen, that's great. Maybe you should do, a video about yourself. It sounds like you have quite a... quite
It's hard to do a video about yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
Turning the camera towards yourself.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. A book, something. I don't know. All right, listen, Neil, let's take a little station break for 1 second. Everybody, we're talking with Neil Capolongo, who worked with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Rascals, Phoebe Snow, a lot of people. Peg is going to take off now. Just hold everything, everybody. Stay right where you are.
Okay, it's great having you here, Neil. And right now we're going to feature a tune with you on drums from the Endless High CD, something called Ladder of Life, a Martell original, right here in the Delaware Valley on WNJC 1360 AM.
Some will stay behind.
Yeah, that was Ladder of Life from the Endless High CD, and that was Vinny on guitar and lead vocals. You have me on backing vocals, Chuck Alder of The Illusion on bass, Tony Panisi of the New Vagrants on Hammond B3, and Neil Capolongo, who's our special guest tonight, is the drummer.
Yeah, Neil, you were telling us when we were on the break that your filming endeavors, and you're working on a film. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, right now I'm working on a film about that guy Vinny St. Martin that I was telling you about. Because
drummer, okay.
I was looking for a new project to do, and then I met him, and he's just a very dynamic personality. And the fact that he's blind, and he plays the drums and he sings so well, and you know, the guy is just he's just incredible. So that's what I'm working on now. Previously, I made a film called Club Date Stories, and what that is it's just a whole bunch of musicians telling stories of funny or amusing things that happen on the gigs.
Oh, okay.
And that's all it is, you know. And it just caught on, and next thing I know, I'm putting like 10, 12 copies in boxes and sending them out. You know, it's just incredible. So we got a website. It's called clubdatestories.com. And, you know, people are really grooving on it, so I'm very thrilled about that.
Great, so that's Club Dates, D-A-T-E-S?
Club, C-L-U-B-D-A-T-E, stories, all one word,
Okay.
.com.
.com. So anybody want to check it out, just log on to that.
Okay, and again, to catch you when you were doing the Blood, Sweat, and Tears thing is your oh no, that's the YouTube.
YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search my name, Neil Capolongo,
And that's
you'll see there are 3 tunes from the North Sea Jazz Festival 1993, which was quite an experience, by the way. We had to follow Santana.
oh boy.
And
Wow.
Santana had 2 drummers and 3 percussionists.
Whoa.
And Clayton looked at me and says, "Hey, Neil, you got something to live up to there, you know." So I had to pull out all the stops on this. It was just little old me after that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Little OU is pretty powerful, so.
Thank you. But it was a good night, and recently a video has popped up of that North Sea Jazz Festival, and some of the stuff is showing up on YouTube.
Oh.
So it's great. It's great to see it because it's been about 12 years now.
Yeah, Neil, that's YOUTUBE, right? YouTube.com?
That's right.
Okay, great.
Okay.
It's a great website.
Yeah, I have yet.
I
to
mean,
check
they got
it.
the Fudge on there. You know, they got some great Fudge stuff on there. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Well, I heard about it. In fact, I just heard a couple of weeks ago out in West Virginia when we did that TV thing we did. I was not really hip to it before that, not being the computer person that I should be, evidently. But all right, listen, let's do this, Neil. Let's talk a little bit now about the NDE that you had, that you were telling me as a young man or whatever. So you go ahead, just get into it and tell everybody. Everybody listen to WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia.
Well, you know, it's been a number of years, so I guess the statute of limitations allows us to talk about certain things that we may have been doing at the time that might be considered, well, not exactly appropriate in terms of experimentation. Shall I put it that way?
Yeah, very well put.
Yeah, but, you know, we were at this party. I was at this party with my ex-wife, and somebody was passing around something. They said it was THC, and we were all doing it, whatever it was. I have my suspicion that it was not THC, that it was probably angel dust, but who knew what that was at the time? I had no idea. But we were all doing that, and we were all feeling very good. And at one point, somebody suggested that I lick the aluminum foil that the stuff was on. And I took one lick of the aluminum foil, and the next thing I knew, I was hovering over the scene, watching people slapping me in the face, trying to revive me. I was on the floor.
Wow.
But I was hovering over the scene watching this. Now, I've been told that maybe a more correct term for what happened to me is astral projection.
Okay.
But I don't know. All I know is I was watching this whole scene, and people were panicking and arguing about whether they should call 911 And I remember looking down, and also the most amazing thing was the sudden freedom that you have without the earthly body.
Wow, that's
No?
what everybody says.
Suddenly feeling like a spirit, just not having you suddenly realize that your body is like a ball and chain. You know, you don't realize that in your everyday life.
Wow.
But you suddenly, here you are without this ball and chain, and in this free spirit, just like hovering over things and watching. And I remember thinking, wow, you know, I have a choice right now of like which way to go.
Wow.
I can go that way, or I can go that way. And it seemed like it was my choice. And I thought, if I go up, you know, or hopefully up,
Sure.
it's going to be the ultimate trip. It's going to be just the most unbelievably beautiful experience. And it was very tempting, I have to tell you. Very, very tempting.
Wow.
But I decided, well, look, you know, as long as I know that that's what's in store, you know, I can give it some time, and I'll come back down for a while and check out the scene down here. And I'll have to tell you that, you know, I didn't see the bright light and all that stuff that people talk about with the near-death experiences.
Right.
But I remember being absolutely certain that it was my choice as to which way to go. And I have to tell you that once I regained consciousness, from that day on, I have had such a reduced fear of death, you know, compared to what it was before. Because I'm convinced from that point on that death is going to be the ultimate beautiful experience, that something unlike any of us have experienced here on Earth. It's just going to be such a beautiful thing.
Wow.
So, you know, in that respect, it was a positive thing that happened, and of course I'm happy that I'm still here to talk about it.
Oh, sure.
But you know, it was ultimately a positive experience. So, not that I'm advocating
Sure, I know.
getting to that point the way I did.
Right. I know what you mean, yeah.
You know, it ultimately was a positive experience for me.
Oh, no, that's great. Yeah, I heard we had on one of our first shows, we had Joey Brennan on, who was the original drummer for the Pigeons before we got Carmine and the Vanilla Fudge.
Oh, I'm glad you're still in touch with him.
Oh, yeah, we stay in touch with him. And he had it's type of similar. He had a very heavy story that he actually, though he had been doing heroin, and he conked out, and they rushed him to the hospital, and they had to put him on the paddles and the breathing thing, and he saw himself suspended in a place that he felt it was alien to him. He didn't know. I believe he said it was dark, but it was a big tube, and he stayed there for a while. He didn't see a light, and then he said he started moving down, and he started he didn't like that, and he kept moving down, and then he smelled fire burning and garbage, and it sounded like he was really going to the wrong place that nobody would like to go to.
Oh my God! But it sounds to me like he was talking about being in control of the situation himself as well.
Well, I don't know if he said that he was able to control coming out of it, but I know he did say he really started freaking out or getting super nervous and and then next thing he heard noises, and what they were the tools in the emergency room, and then he opened his eyes and he was in the emergency room, and he came back to life. And the nurse there said, "What did you take?" He said he had taken heroin. And she said, "Well, you better thank that Asian doctor over there who never gave up on you, because we saw people that were not as bad as you that never came back, and he never gave up on you, and you came back." And Joey changed his life around, and he's involved with a church up in North Jersey, a church in the Nazarene up in Bergen County. And he does work now with alcoholics and drug people, and so it's, it's a mind changer. I mean, it's a whole life-changing experience. So, I'm intrigued when I talk to people that have something that they went through with this. And
Well, I tell you, I came out of my experience feeling at one with humanity. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm a planetary citizen. That's a term that narrator Michael Walden used in one of his songs. Are you ready to be a planetary citizen?
That's great.
Wow.
And that's how I feel. You know, I feel like I'm just a part of humanity, and you know, and the golden rule is really where it's at as far as I'm concerned. It's the, you know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and that's the rule I try to live by. And you know, and just go day by day and try to be good to my fellow man. You know, and the other thing is
Good for
being
you,
a
man.
musician and performing is such a great thing because you're doing something it's like a service to humanity. I don't know how else to put it. You look out in the audience and you see that you're bringing joy to people, and that's so much better than, you know, having a gig like writing parking tickets or something. You know?
It's true. You're actually communicating and you're interacting on different levels with people. It is a great
Absolutely.
feeling.
It's such a it's the thing that's kept me in it all these years. You know, because as you know, Peg and Vinny,
Yes.
you know that it can get tough at times. It's a tough business.
Well, I
truly
tell you,
is.
you're right on the money. By the way, last week we had Stookie from Naz, Todd Rundgren's group.
Uh-huh.
We had him on, and he said similar to you that he went through a thing. He had a liver transplant, and he was transported during the period of this was going on. And he went into a whole situation, and he promised the Lord that if he would come back, he was going to put Naz back together and do something for humanity, because he, like yourself, feels that being a musician, being on stage, he's really giving something back to the people he's in touch, and it changed his life around too. So everybody's, you know, universally onto the same thing with that.
You know, it's a funny thing about being a musician. It was almost like that was not a conscious decision on my part. It was like a God-given gift, and it just seemed to be inexorably moving in that direction. There was almost nothing you could do about it.
Really?
You know, doors kept opening, and it just seemed like somebody was watching over me and just making it happen. It's just like you almost feel like you're how
Ambassador.
shall I say?
Well, you yourself are an instrument of a
a
greater
tool, an
force.
instrument of God, exactly.
Right,
You know,
right.
in His plan to do, everybody has their own little job to do on earth, but we're entertainers. You know, people need some entertainment. They really do,
That's it.
and we give it to them. You know, and it's hard at times, but I feel gratified. You know, I play if I play dance music and I see people dancing to what I'm playing, I'm communicating to them in that way too, and it's a great thing. I think, well, you know, when you play in Europe, musicians in general are so much more appreciated in Europe. I mean, you
I heard.
go over there and they look at you like, you know, in high regard. In America, I don't know, it's a little different, but
It's more facade here. It's really more about substance, I think, there, and not so much the cosmetic end of it. And, you know, they really appreciate fine art there, and
You know,
especially music.
In Europe, I know that we were there a handful of times ourselves with the Fudge, and
sure.
you know what's nice about it is in Europe you could be fat, you could be skinny, tall, it don't matter. You're giving and they're appreciating what you're
Yeah.
doing. Over here, a lot of it is you got to have the right look.
Right.
Over here, otherwise you might not get the chance to even catch on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like that whole kind of a thing, you know.
Neil,
Well, you know, I apparently from the gigs I did in Europe, I have a, you know, I mean, I'm not what you'd call a star like you are in this country, but there are people in Europe that know me, and just from playing with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and there's a CD that came out in Germany of a Blood, Sweat, and Tears concert at Lugano, Switzerland. That you know, I have people emailing me. It's and now this thing that's on YouTube is, you know, there are people communicating with me, and it feels good.
That's great, Neil. We'd like to take a quick little break and feature you on drums, Neil, on a track written by Ian MacDonald of King Crimson, and it's Vinny's great arrangement of The Court of the Crimson King from the Endless High CD.
That's a great track.
Yeah, isn't it? So here to entertain you is Neil Capolongo on drums right here on WNJC 1360 AM.
Rusted chains of prison wounds are shattered by the sun. I walk a road where rises change, the torment's begun. The purple piper plays his tune, the choir softly sings. Three lullabies in an ancient tongue for the cause of the Crimson King. Of the city keys put shutters on the dreams. I'll wait outside the pilgrim's door with insufficient schemes. The Black Queen chants the funeral march, the cracked brass bells will ring to summon back the fire witch to the cause of the Crimson King. Gardener plants and evergreen whilst trampling on the flower. I chase the wind of a prism ship to taste the sweet and sour. The pattern juggler lifts his hand, the orchestra begins, and slowly turns the grinding wheel at the call of the Crimson King. soft gray mornings, widows cry, the wise men share a joke. I run to grasp divine insight to satisfy the hopes. The yellow chestnut does not play, but gently pulls the strings and smiles as the puppets dance in the court of the Crimson King.
That's Planetary Citizen Neil Capolongo on drums and a track from Endless High, the Court of the Crimson King, and you're listening to Perspectives on WNJC 1360 AM, Washington Township, Philadelphia.
Okay, everybody, hope that you're enjoying the show tonight with our special guest, Neil Capolongo, drummer from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Rascals, Phoebe Snow, Liza Minelli, some Broadway shows, also
Chita Rivera.
Chita Rivera, Chuck Walden from The Illusions, and we were talking about right when we were about NDE's near-death experience that Neil experienced, and how he was just telling us off the air of how you feel so held down when you're in the body. When you get out of the body, you're in the spirit form, how free you feel. And Neil, go ahead, just get into that about
But
that.
you don't realize it until something like that happens to you. You really don't. As soon as something like that happens, you suddenly realize it's almost like your body is like a ball and chain here on Earth, and
Wow.
suddenly you're free of that, and it's such a beautiful experience, and we're all going to experience that. That's the amazing thing. I used to have a friend of mine that people used to say to him, he was in a band, and people used to say to him, you really outdid yourself tonight, and that became like a joke.
Yeah.
But he recently passed away, and I spoke at his funeral, and I mentioned the fact that he really has outdone himself, because he's transcended into the next plane, and I know it has happened to him, because I was maybe an eighth of the way there when this experience happened to me. So it's going to be a very beautiful thing when it happens. So it's really nothing to fear, and the only problem is, of course, some of the ways it takes to get there,
Yeah.
Not too pleasant, but when we actually experience that moment where we transcend into heaven or the next plane or whatever you want to call it, it's definitely going to be a beautiful experience.
Oh,
But I wanted to mention
Yeah.
that something happened to me since I had that experience, and you can almost date it right back to the moment this happened to me. But I started becoming, and this is going to sound strange, but in a way kind of clairvoyant. But I don't know quite how to describe it. All I know is that over and over and over again, and some people say, "Oh, come on," until they become convinced after a while. Like I'll think of something or mention something, and it just happens. Like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes later, it's just. As a matter of fact, I got to tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
Something that just happened today. I had my annual physical today.
Okay.
And the nurse practitioner was taking care of me, and I said, I'm a drummer, and I want to make sure that I'm healthy, because I don't want to. I'm doing club dates now, and I don't want to pass away while I'm playing I Will Survive.
Oh God!
So she laughed, and then all of a sudden, over the PA system, you hear, "First I was afraid, I was petrified," and her jaw dropped. And this is the kind of thing that keeps happening to me over and over.
You want to hear something even stranger than that? That's one of the tunes I do whenever we do this gig with Nino Pilati, the Dorsey Brothers. So that's even weirder.
Well, by the time I got out of by the time I paid my copay, the whole office was talking about it. So this is the kind of thing that's been happening to me since then. Just little things like that. I'll think of something and but it happens so often that people start looking at me strangely, like there it goes again. So I don't know whether this experience has maybe put me up just a small notch, on the plane of existence. I'm not sure, or put me a little bit more in touch with the subconscious power that we all really have.
That's right.
Very good, Neil. Well, okay, listen, we're down to the last couple of minutes on the show, so I just want to really thank you for accepting the offer to come on the show and talk.
My pleasure.
It was great having you on, Neil. And again, any of the websites, they can catch you performing on YouTube. That's YOUTUBE for all of you listening out there. And also, we have clubdatestories.com, exactly as it sounds, clubdatestories.com.
All one word.
And Neil, if somebody wants to reach you directly, they want to email you, is there an email or anything where people can actually reach you and communicate with you?
Well, my email address is ncapolongo@hotmail.com. Okay. So that's NCAPOLONGO
Okay.
And if they want to search me at YouTube, it's Neil Capolongo, NEILCAPOLONGO, at the YouTube site. Now, there's about 5 videos I'm on if you go there. But there's one name I wanted to mention, one idol that I had that I ended up playing with, and that was Chuck Alder. I think you mentioned him once, Vinny.
Yes.
I mean, the fantastic Chuck Alder, and one of the sweetest guys I know in the business, and without a doubt, we're talking about the correct attitude to have when you play music. I think you'd agree with me.
Absolutely.
Right.
He really
the man has the greatest attitude about music of just about anybody I know. So that was another. I mean, I played with Chuck, as you know, on your CD and on your live appearances, and that was another thrill.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, we did some nice gigs in the city. And all right, listen, I'm going to be calling Chuck myself. If you talk to him, tell him I said hello. Tell him we said hello.
I will. And he's got some great stories about the Illusion, too.
Okay, good. Well, I want to talk
opening with all those major acts, opening for Jimi Hendrix and everybody else.
Sure.
Incredible. Sure. You guys have so much history under your belt. It's incredible. Neil,
we came up in a very great period in the music business,
Yes, we did.
That was a great period.
Yes, it was. All right, listen, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed the show tonight. With our special guest, Neil Capolongo. Neil, it's been a pleasure having you.
I had a great time. Thanks.
Thank
for
you
having
so
me on.
much, Neil.
Thank you. Yeah, let me give you a buzz after the show for a couple of minutes because we're going to be off the air in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so just hang tight.
Okay.
And, all right, now hold on because we got to sign off. Everybody, thanks for listening again. I hope you enjoyed the show.